The leather arm of Dad's antique chair creaked under my grip, my knuckles whitening as his words hung in the air. Effective immediately, no more financial aid, no more rent subsidies, no car repair funds, no support for anything. The family intervention I'd been ambushed with suddenly crystallized into perfect ironic clarity. "You're not our personal ATM anymore," Mom added with razor-sharp finality, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the afternoon light streaming through the study windows. My phone vibrated against my thigh. A text notification from Whitman Trust Management lit up my screen. Monthly allowance approval required for Lewis Thompson, $15,000. Olivia Thompson, $12,000. Catherine Thompson, $8,000. Victor Thompson, $18,000. Please confirm by 5 p.m. today. The weight of what they didn't know pressed against my chest as I looked up at their self-assured faces. My family had just cut me off from financial support they never controlled, while their own monthly stipends hung in the balance of my next decision. My name is Penelope. I'm 28, and I run a nonprofit that builds homes for veterans. This is the story of how I became both the villain and hero of my family's financial fairy tale. The room felt surreal. My family's sprawling oak-paneled study with its leather-bound books and oil portraits of ancestors who'd built our fortune generations ago. My brother Louis lounged in his custom suit, just back from London. My sister Olivia kept checking her designer watch, clearly impatient with this family meeting interrupting her day. Mom's face held that particular brand of concerned disappointment she'd perfected over years of dealing with what they saw as my financial immaturity. "The figures are undeniable," Louis said, leaning forward with boardroom confidence. "Our family's financial aid has ballooned, especially for those who haven't shown proper gratitude." His eyes flicked toward me. Olivia nodded in agreement. "Some people need to learn responsibility." I remained silent, knowing that my $45,000 nonprofit salary made me the obvious target of this financial intervention. What they didn't know was that my modest income was a deliberate cover for something far more significant. Dad pushed a budget sheet toward me, his gold cufflinks gleaming. "Your nonprofit work might be noble in theory, but it's not sustainable. You need a career that supports a proper adult lifestyle." "The constant requests for financial help have to end," Mom declared. "It's enabling behavior that stunts real growth and maturity." As they outlined their detailed plan for what they called strategic tough love, I picked at my salad, fighting to maintain a neutral expression despite the overwhelming irony of their lecture. They had no idea who was actually supporting whom. I gave them a faint smile and typed "denied" for all 4 allowance requests on my phone. Within seconds, their confident expressions began to falter. "Actually," I said evenly, setting my phone face down, "there seems to be some confusion about our family's financial setup." Before anyone could respond, the study door opened. A woman in a sleek business suit entered, holding a leather portfolio. "Miss Thompson, I'm Stephanie Williams from Whitman Trust Management. I apologize for interrupting your family meeting, but we need your immediate signature on some urgent quarterly trust documents." Confusion rippled across the room as Stephanie approached me instead of Dad, who stood up expecting to be the focus of any serious financial matter. "I'm sorry," Dad said, his voice carrying the authority he was accustomed to wielding, "but I handle all trust matters for this family. Any documents should come to me." Stephanie looked genuinely surprised. "I'm afraid there's a misunderstanding, Mr. Thompson. Penelope has been the primary trustee and financial overseer of the family trust since her 25th birthday. All distribution decisions and account management fall under her authority." The room fell silent save for the faint ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. "That's impossible," Louis said weakly. "Penny works for a nonprofit. She doesn't have the expertise or legal power to manage a trust." Stephanie opened her portfolio and produced several official documents. In fact, Miss Thompson earned her financial planning certification and trust administration credentials 3 years ago. She's been managing the family trust portfolio with remarkable success since then. Mom's face drained of color. "What family trust portfolio?" Stephanie consulted her papers. The Thompson Family Trust, established by your late father, currently valued at approximately $23.7 million, providing monthly distributions to all family members at the trustee's discretion. Their expression shifted from confusion to horrified realization as the truth sank in. "The monthly allowances you all receive," I said softly, "come from the trust." "My trust." "This is absurd," Olivia snapped, though her usual confidence faltered. "We would have been informed about something this significant." Stephanie produced a certified copy of the trust documents. The trust stipulated that control would pass to the youngest child at age 25, with the expectation that they'd support family members at their discretion. Dad's hands trembled as he scanned the legal text, confirming his worst fears. This says Penelope Thompson has been the sole trustee with full discretionary authority for the past 3 years. I nodded. "I've been overseeing all your monthly allowances, investments, and distributions, while you assumed I was scraping by on my nonprofit salary." My phone rang, displaying a number from the family's private banking division. "Excuse me," I said, answering while maintaining eye contact with my increasingly anxious family. "Miss Thompson, this is Ryan Frost from First National Private Banking. We've received your denial for this month's family allowances. Should we place holds on the associated accounts?" "Yes, proceed with the holds until further notice," I replied calmly. "All automatic transfers are now suspended pending your review," he confirmed. I hung up and faced my family's stunned expressions. "That was the bank confirming your monthly allowances have been paused." "Monthly allowances?" Mom whispered, her hand instinctively reaching for her pearl necklace. Stephanie checked her tablet. "Lewis Thompson receives $15,000 monthly for business and living expenses. Olivia Thompson gets $12,000 for lifestyle maintenance. Mrs. Catherine Thompson receives $8,000 for discretionary spending, and Mr. Victor Thompson gets $18,000 for household and personal costs." The figures struck like financial thunderbolts, hitting each family member individually. "This is outrageous," Dad erupted, though his voice betrayed panic rather than authority. "Even if this paperwork is real, I built this family's wealth. I managed our finances for 30 years. I deserve control over our money." "You didn't build this wealth," I said calmly. "Grandfather did. And he designed the trust to pass to someone who proved both financial savvy and a commitment to helping others. My nonprofit work wasn't a misstep. It was the qualification." Stephanie nodded. "The trust explicitly requires the successor trustee to show professional financial management skills and dedication to charitable causes." Lewis was frantically checking his phone, likely seeing declined transactions. "Penny, this is madness. My business expenses, client entertainment, operational costs, they all rely on that monthly distribution, which you just said should end because we were too dependent on financial aid," I reminded him. Olivia's hands shook as she scrolled through her banking app. "My credit cards are being declined. My spa appointment, my shopping plans, everything's bouncing." "That's what happens when automatic payments are suspended," I explained patiently. "The same thing you wanted to happen to me." My phone buzzed with another call from the trust investment team. "Miss Thompson, this is Jessica Walsh from Portfolio Management. We need to discuss the real estate holdings. Should we continue covering property taxes and maintenance for the family properties?" I glanced around the study where we sat. This estate, for instance, along with the vacation homes, investment properties, and commercial real estate, all trust assets requiring ongoing management. I put the call on speaker. "Jessica, what happens if trust funding for property maintenance stops?" Property tax defaults would start within 60 days, followed by maintenance issues, insurance lapses, and potential foreclosures on leveraged properties. Mom looked faint. "Our home." "This estate is owned by the trust," Stephanie confirmed. "Penelope has been covering all household expenses, property maintenance, and family living costs for 3 years. Dad was making frantic calls to his banker and accountant, trying to grasp how his financial world had flipped. I could hear snippets of panicked conversations, trust documentation, successor provisions, Penny's authority. The family members who declared no more financial support, and I said, watching their growing desperation, Just learned they're the ones receiving it. All of it. Another call came in from the household management company. Miss Thompson, the domestic staff payroll is due tomorrow. Should we proceed with payments for housekeeping, gardening, and maintenance staff? I looked at my family's horrified faces. Let's hold all staff payments pending a full budget review. Understood, the caller replied. All staff will be notified their positions are under review. Olivia began to cry. Penny, you can't fire the household staff. Mom depends on them. This house needs constant upkeep. The same way I depended on family support until 15 minutes ago? I asked. What was it Mom said? Time to sink or swim like every other adult. Lewis's business phone was ringing nonstop. Vendors, clients, and partners discovering his funding was frozen. Penny, please, Dad pleaded, his earlier authority gone. We can sort this out. We're family. We are family, I agreed. And as family, I've been supporting you all for 3 years without complaint or recognition. Until today, when you tried to cut me off from support, you never controlled. Stephanie handed me a detailed financial report. The trust has thrived under your management. 18% annual returns, diversified investments, and sustainable distribution policies. Sustainable until now, I corrected. The model assumed family unity and mutual respect. Those assumptions may need adjusting. I looked at my family, each now realizing their financial security rested on someone they'd just tried to shame and abandon. The oak furniture and ancestral portraits seemed to observe the seismic shift in family dynamics. Here's what's happening, I announced, my voice steady despite the emotional storm. Monthly allowances will be restructured with new accountability measures. Dad, your allowance is now $12,000 monthly with expense reporting required. Mom, yours is $6,000 with oversight on discretionary spending. Lewis and Olivia, you'll each get $8,000, subject to quarterly financial reviews. Those amounts won't cover our expenses, Lewis protested. Then you'll need to adjust your spending to match your income, I replied, like you advised me to live within my means. Stephanie handed me a revised trust agreement. I'm also introducing mandatory financial counseling and budget planning for all beneficiaries. Financial counseling? Olivia sobbed. You're treating us like kids. I'm treating you like adults who need to learn financial responsibility, I corrected. Exactly what you said I needed. Dad stared at the trust documents, his eyes hollow. What about this estate? Our home? It will be maintained as long as trust beneficiaries show appreciation and maintain respectful relationships, I said. Hostile actions toward the trustee could trigger housing allowance reviews. Mom grabbed my arm. Penny, we're truly sorry for what we said. We didn't know the real situation. Now you do, I replied gently. And now we have formal trust agreements reflecting the true financial dynamics, not your assumptions about who supports whom. Stephanie finalized the paperwork. These terms are effective immediately. All family members will receive written copies of their revised allowance schedules and accountability rules. As my family reluctantly signed the new agreements, they grappled with the reality that their comfortable lives depended on the goodwill of the person they'd just called financially reckless. One last thing, I said as Stephanie prepared to leave. The nonprofit work you dismissed? It's growing. The trust will establish a $5 million charitable foundation, reducing funds available for family distributions. The figure landed like a financial bombshell. Money they'd assumed was their inheritance was being redirected to the charitable work they'd ridiculed. The family that said, "We're not your bank anymore," I concluded, standing to leave the study, just learned that I am their bank, their landlord, their employer, and their financial future. Tomorrow, they'd receive their reduced allowances, begin mandatory financial counseling, and start living within budgets they'd never had to consider. The nonprofit administrator they dismissed as financially irresponsible had revealed herself as the family's financial cornerstone. 6 months later, our family dynamics had fundamentally transformed. Dad finally embraced financial accountability, discovering a modest lifestyle was more fulfilling than he expected. Mom volunteered at my nonprofit twice a week, developing genuine respect for the work we do. Lewis started a legitimate business with a proper business plan that I approved for funding, and Olivia went back to school to finish her degree in finance. The foundation now funds veterans' housing projects in 3 states, with my family attending every ribbon-cutting ceremony. While our relationship would never return to what it was before, the mutual respect we'd developed created something more authentic and enduring. We weren't just a wealthy family anymore. We were partners in a legacy worth building together. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles. 0 cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.